If you could choose any player to join the team, who would it be and why?
I'd probably go Bowden Barrett at the moment. I'd be really interested to see how he's obviously a really good flower. First of all, I think he'd suit the way we play loads. And I think it would just be cool to get someone from the Southern Hemisphere, that's played in a different competition and see how they go here.
I'd love to sign, if we could, to get Nemani Nandolo, the big winger. We had big Tan Kelly before. Oh, you on one wing, him on the other wing. And yeah, all set for Seb as well.
So before a match, what gets you motivated to perform your best?
Not seeing Zander with the shirt off.
Kyle actually likes to see them with off. No, I think we all play our best rugby when we have our smile on our face. So for me, it's the best day of the week.
I like music. Depending on where my energy's at, then I change the kind of music I'm listening to. Sometimes you're too nervous and I need to listen to like music that chills you out a bit. Or I'll look at photos of my family if I'm on the bus. If you're on an away game, then that doesn't take long to get you going. So,
what's been your favourite strip to play in and why?
Oh, great question.
My favourite strip is the first strip I played in. I arrived in when we made the final in 2019, and I think just because coming over, it was my first time in Scotland, and the jersey it's got the Glasgow tartan on it, and I'd never played in an all-black kit, and I think an all-black kit looks really smart. So,
do you all separately have different sort of motivational songs, and also do you have one as a team to listen to before games?
Yeah, we definitely have separate songs because the forwards and the backs gym separately in the day. And he's often on the forwards tunes, and I'm real thankful I don't gym with the forwards.
I've got one song I listen to every time I get off the bus is DMX Party Up, the clean version. Make sure you get in there. I remember watching it as a kid. There's a basketball film. I just absolutely loved it, and it just makes me remember just to enjoy it and not take it too seriously.
So I watch your nutrition videos, and is there anything that you have to eat that you don't like?
As you can tell, I'm quite a big guy, so I like most food. I would say the one thing I don't like is sometimes spinach leaves. I like spinach leaves in a shake. I like it when it's cooked, but see, when it's fresh out the packet, it's the one thing I'm not a big fan of. But everything else is pretty good.
Who's the biggest joker in the squad?
Ryan Wilson told me a story the other day. He told me that in one of his first years here, he spent the whole season stealing a pair of underpants a week from different players in the squad. And he kept them all in a locker, and then at the final, when they came in at the end of the season for the view, he'd put up a clothesline across the track and hung all of them. And I think he said like Henry Purgos was one guy that was getting really annoyed by the fact that he was coming to training and his underpants kept disappearing. So,
what's the toughest team to play?
My first men's game was against Hoyk, which is always a horrible horrible game regardless. So I think
at Hoyk.
At Hoyk.
Oh, wow.
Away. So I think I'm going to have to say Hoyk. I think that stands to be one of the most horrible games I've ever played.
What are your thoughts on the new tackle height law, which is coming in?
It's an interesting one. I think it's sort of trying to find that balance between keeping everyone safe and also sort of keeping the game going. I'm not sure if that's necessarily the solution or if it's something in between. Trying to get people to tackle low is always great. Forcing it might not necessarily be the best way to do it. The overall message of it, tackle low, is definitely a good message to put out there.
What advice would you give to someone round about my age if they wanted to become a professional rugby player?
Make sure you enjoy it, to work as hard as you can, and make sure your basic skills are as good as they can be. So your catching, your passing, your communication to your teammates, and just make sure you keep playing with a smile on your face, and it'll bring out the best in you.
What's your favourite pet?
I've got two dogs called Bruno and Brutus. Yeah, they're both French bulldogs. I couldn't pick a favourite because I love them both equally. One's really cuddly and thinks he's a puppy still and jumps all over you, but he's 24 kilos, he's pretty heavy. And the other one's a grumpy old man. When he comes to you, he wants to cuddle, but otherwise he just sits in his cage.
What did you learn going on the British Lions tour, and what do you think of your nickname Zandbags?
Great knowledge.
No, I learned a lot on the Lions tour. Great experience. Really enjoyed meeting some other players and getting to know them really well and playing with them. You play against these guys all the whole Six Nations, and then they're your teammates in the summer. Made some great friendships. I learned how good we have it in Scotland as well. I felt some of the step-ups to the Lions stuff would have been more, but I felt some of the environment things we have in Scotland are just as good. So, but for me, Zandybags been pretty well behaved recently, so I think it's been retired. I could bring out some handbags and call them Zandybag. What do you think? Would they sell well? No.
Nope.
What's it like under the pressure of everybody watching the game?
The most I've played in front of probably the Scotland 20s, which is probably a couple thousand. To be honest, once that sort of ball goes up and you're into the game, I think you pretty much forget about it personally. It definitely does add pressure, but you just try to block it out and try to play your best and stick to your role, because as long as you do your part in the game, the rest of the team will function well. So just trying to keep it cool.
Who's won the most games?
Yeah, I think I probably won the most games. I played the most games, so
How many caps, Sean?
1, 2 something. I think I'm on 1, 2, 5.
He doesn't even know. That's shocking. Eh?
What is your favourite game you've played in Scotland?
My favourite game was the semi-final in 2019 against Ulster. My daughter was born on the Wednesday. Pretty up and down week, and I think we came out on the pitch and I think we beat them 55-10, I believe. My little brother got man of the match, so it was a great week all round.
Who was the most favourite player you've played with?
George Horn for me. Ever since I arrived, he's kind of been my best mate. Yeah, we're very similar in how we like to train and do things, and we play a lot of golf and stuff together off the pitch. Yeah, it's always the most fun when you get to play with your mates.
How did you know that you wanted to be a professional rugby player?
The first time I picked up a rugby ball and we were allowed to do contact, I remember I looked at the teacher and said, so I can tackle him and I don't get in trouble. And she said, yeah, go for it. So ever since then it's been love at first sight. So very lucky to be where I am today and to be able to be a professional rugby player. So.
What does it feel like being in Glasgow while you're on the pitch?
So you're not just representing the club, you're representing Glasgow and you're representing your family and stuff. So yeah, it's a really proud moment and very lucky to be part of it.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. It's awesome being out there on Scotland, and the energy you feel like you've got the energy of 7,500 people. So.
What's your favourite ice cream?
Great question.
I like salted caramel. It's a bit rogue, but I like that.
I'm an old man, I love pistachio.
I love going to Europe. You get dulce de leche in a cone.
What would you have become if you weren't a professional rugby player, and how have the Warriors helped you do that?
During my time playing rugby, I've taken an interest in finance, so I'm currently doing diplomacy in financial advising, which is really interesting, or I find it interesting. The boys don't. McCrea find it very interesting. So yeah, look, hopefully can qualify through that and go into the world of financial advising after rugby, but hopefully play a few more years.
The Warriors are good. We've got what they call a player development officer. So he's in charge. He chats to loads of universities and finds courses that we can do alongside being a rugby player. He also chats to all our sponsors like McCrea, and we can go into their offices and shadow them for a day. And I would say if you are trying to, or you want to be a professional player, don't ever be discouraged because you're on a different path to someone else. If you enjoy it and you love working at it, then just keep going. And it's funny how life works out sometimes.